Welcome to Matters Financial, the Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thank you for stopping by. I'm always grateful, and I appreciate that. Let me start with some macro thoughts. On the last day of the month, let's recap how August panned out for the markets. Interesting infographic. And Aurelia, who I follow quite closely these days from Copenhagen, so September is the scary month, she said. I took this photograph of Nairobi in the afternoon from the 19th floor somewhere in the city. And I like these quotes. One from Seamus Heaney. What matters is the shape. What matters is the shape-making impulse. And I think he's very right, isn't he? Then jumping to Don DeLillo's Point Omega. The less there was to see, the harder he looked, the more he saw. We're a crowd, a swarm, we think in groups, travel in armies. Armies carry the gene of self-destruction. One bomb is never enough, the blur of technology. This is where the oracles plot their wars. Because now comes the introversion. Father Teilhard knew this, the omega point, a leap out of our biology. Ask yourself this question. Do we have to be human forever? Consciousness is exhausted. Back now to inorganic matter. This is what we want. We want to be stones in a field. If you reveal everything, bear every feeling, ask for understanding, you lose something crucial to your sense of yourself. You need to know things that others don't know. It's what no one knows about you that allows you to know yourself. Put up a photograph of a characterization of Point Omega in the New York Times. The true life is not reducible to words spoken or written, not by anyone, ever. Political reflections. The Bongo family has ruled the African country for roughly 50 years. First Omar Bongo, and since 2009, his son Ali Ben Bongo. The National Assembly is currently on fire in Libreville. Well, not now, it's probably put out. President Ali Bongo Ondimba is on Twitter. Now, this is what's interesting. Bongo won 49.8% of Saturday's vote against 48.23% for Ping, a narrow margin of only 5,594 votes of a total of 627,805 registered voters. Any appeal by Ping would likely to focus on disputed results in one of the country's 9 provinces, the Haut-Ogooué, where Bongo won 95.5% of the vote. Results from the province showed a turnout of more than 99% compared with a nationwide turnout of 59.46%. It's going to be difficult to get people to accept these results, one member of the Electoral Commission told AFP. We've never seen results like these, even during the farthest time, he added. Put up a photograph of Omar Bongo Ondimba, the president of Gabon, the president's father. And then take you back to an article I wrote in November 2014, Ouagadougou's signal to sub-Saharan Africa. And I was talking about the termination of beautiful Blaise Compaoré. The tipping point for this accelerated sequence of events was President Compaoré's stacking parliament in order to extend the presidential term limit. There are plenty of African presidents who are seeking to pull off the same magic trick, and events in Ouagadougou have surely put them on notice, I said. Martin Aglo, a law student from Benin, told Reuters after the Arab Spring that this is the Black Spring. During the Arab Spring, now in the bleak midwinter, nearly all commentators spoke of how this North African wildfire could not leap the Sahara and head to sub-Saharan Africa. The reasons were that the state, the incumbents, had a monopoly on the tools of violence and would bring overwhelming force and violence to bear. We need to ask ourselves, how many people can an incumbent shoot stone cold dead in such a situation? 100, 1,000, 10,000? This is another point. There is a threshold beyond which the incumbent can't go. Where that threshold lies will be discovered in the throes of the event. Therefore, the preeminent point to note is that protests in Burkina Faso achieved escape velocity. Overthrowing incumbents is all about acceleration, momentum, and speed, best characterized by the German word blitzkrieg. Out of a population of 17 million people in Burkina Faso, over 60% are aged between 17 and 24 years, according to the World Bank. And this is another point to note. The country's youth flex their muscles. What's clear is that a very young, very informed, and very connected African youth demographic. Many characterize this as a demographic dividend, which for beautiful Blaise turned into a demographic terminator, is set to alter the existing equilibrium between the rulers and the subjects, and the rebalancing has begun. And I think you've got to look at Libreville in the context of Ouagadougou. Burqa and Burkini developed, and I just like the photograph, and now I've learned that the government is to push ahead with Brexit. In the UK, that they 2-1 favour Burkini ban. Government to push ahead with Brexit without seeking Commons approval. That's in the UK. Let's move on to currency markets. Euro dollar, last trading at 111.50. Dollar index around 96 level. Dollar yen continuing to move higher, 103.68. Swissy 0.9837. The pound, strong pound, where are we trading now? 132.43, up 100 ticks. And this is what I've been bullish about. I think data is going to surprise to the upside, and I think the pound's going back to 140, as I've said previously. Aussie 0.7537, India rupee 66.955, South Korea 111.2151, the Rial 322.75, Egyptian pound 887.76, and the Rand, when I looked last, was around the 1463 level. Dollar index, I'll put up a 3-month chart. My target is 100 by year end. Dollar yen, let's have a look at this. We're last trading at 103.67. And Aurelia in Copenhagen, who tends to call it well, as she calls sterling, is talking at 104. So let's see if we can get up there. But have a look at this 1-month chart. It's still a story of yen strength, but the yen is hypersensitive to movement in interest rates. And increasingly, it looks like the markets think that Janet Yellen keeps pushing Fisher out because she's made up her mind. He tends to be the most hawkish. Let's move on to the commodity markets. Gold, I'll put up a 6-month chart. Last trading at 1306.58. I think this could fall away quite sharply if we break. We're right at important support levels, and we could fall straight through 1300 if we fall any further. Chart of the day: US total oil inventories, crude and all refined products are now at a new all-time high. This is from Javier Blas. WTI drops below $45 a barrel, down more than 3.5% yesterday, 6% so far this week, and it doesn't feel as if there's any strength behind it right now. So, oil can fall more dramatically, rebound more aggressively than you expect, but it feels as if it can fall away. Colombian stocks are the world's best performer in August. Brazil's worst recession in 100 years shows no signs of abating, 6 straight quarters of economic contraction. But you wouldn't believe it if you looked at the currency, which has rebounded dramatically. Have a look at the Brazilian Bovespa, and it's a good chart because it gives a chance to overlay the politics with what's happened. And then finally, in emerging markets, India's economy slowed more than estimated, adding pressure to the new central bank governor. Africa is missing out on the biggest emerging market bond party in history. Countries from Saudi Arabia to Papua New Guinea prepare to hit the market with tens of billions of dollars in Eurobond sales. before the Federal Reserve increases interest rates. Issuance from sub-Saharan Africa has all but dried up, with Ghana cancelling a deal, Kenya, Nigeria and Ivory Coast delaying theirs, and little in the pipeline. Only two nations, South Africa and Mozambique, have sold dollar securities this year, the latter in a restructuring of existing debt. African sales of $2 billion in 2016 are the lowest since 2008, when the financial crisis froze the market. African governments sold a record $8 billion of international bonds in 2014. Last year, issuers from Angola to Zambia tapped the market, bringing the total to $6.75 billion. Good article. Have a look. SA Future Growth has halted lending to 6 state-owned firms, including the power utility Eskom and logistics firm Transnet, it said on Wednesday, citing political uncertainty. They managed $12 billion. South African all share up 4.02% this year. Dollar Rand ran back on the back foot, 14.63 area, which is a bit of no man's land. Egyptian EGX 30 plus 16.44% so far this year. Nigeria slides into recession for the first time in more than 20 years as GDP shrinks 2.06% in Q2. Africa's biggest economy, but no longer. It's been overtaken because of the FX by South Africa. Crude sales account for about 70% of government revenues, compounding the impact of low oil prices. Attacks by militants on oil and gas facilities in the southern Niger Delta hub since the start of the year has cut crude production by about 700,000 barrels per day. With the wider current account deficit, it remains important for Nigeria to maintain a credible policy response. This has been the biggest problem, it's just not been credible, in order to attract much-needed stabilizing inflows. NBS figures showed Nigeria attracted just $647.1 million of capital in the second quarter, a 76% fall year-on-year. Nigerian all-share down 3.64% this year. Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index down 9.5% this year. Coming to Kenya, we've learned that the volume of cash moving through the mobile money transfer platforms grew by a fifth in the first 6 months of this year, powered by, wait for it, an increased uptake of cell phone-based gaming. An average of 220.4 billion shillings is moving on mobile money platforms every month. But the betting industry has emerged as a major player in the mobile money industry alongside retail payments, peer-to-peer transfers and diaspora remittances. Kenya shilling, when I looked last, was 101.248. Nairobi all share down 7.39% this year. Snapped a losing streak yesterday, which had seen the all share fall 8.98% since Thursday. So Thursday, Friday, and Monday were the big drops. The Nairobi NSE 20 down 21.33% this year, but jumped 1.99% yesterday, snapped a losing streak, which has seen the NSE 20 fall 9.99% since Thursday last week. Samia Africa has issued a cautionary statement and profit warning announcement, and they're saying that they're going to close down their manufacturing plant in Nakuru. This is there's a story there about manufacturing, but if you're competing in the commoditized markets, you're always going to be at the rough end, and they were doing exactly that. But more than that, there's a lot of money to be released to shareholders via the sale of that land in Nakuru. Atlas African Industries reported a loss, revenue down 97.998%. Earnings from continuing operations negative 0.17. It's not a pretty picture. Chairman described this as being a frustrating period for the company and its shareholders. You can say that again. And then Express Kenya reported a first half earnings per share loss of 88 cents a share. Market cap is currently the grand total of $1.25 million US dollars. And we're seeing a little bit of a bounce. To give you a flavour of what's going on, we've had such a dramatic fall Thursday, Friday, Monday. We're seeing some signs of stabilisation, but we're going to have to keep a very close eye on things at the NSE. Once again, thank you for stopping by.